A lot of business owners think due diligence is just paperwork, something your attorney and lender handle and you're just there to move on. But in real life, due diligence is the difference between buying a business and maybe buying a problem. Because sellers don't always lie, but sometimes they really want to show you the best version of their story. And if you don't know how to test that story with the numbers, you can end up paying for profit that isn't real, or cash flow that isn't stable, or liabilities that were always there but they were hidden. So let's keep it simple. Due diligence is the process of verifying what you think you're buying. Not what you hope you're buying or what the seller says you're buying, but what you're actually buying. And it comes down to a few different realities. The first one is what we call the earnings reality. Is the profit real and repeatable? The second is the cash flow reality. Can the business fund itself after you take over? And the third is the risk reality. What liabilities or exposure are you inheriting? Now, there are some key areas that I want business owners to verify before they sign anything. The first are the financial statements looked at consistently over time. You can't look at just 1 year and say, well, this looks good. You got to look for patterns. So look for things like whether or not revenues and margins rise steadily or whether they're swinging wildly. You want to look at expenses to see if they're categorized consistently from month to month and year to year. You also want to look to see if there are big miscellaneous buckets which are hiding some detail which you'd need to have. If the numbers are messy, you might not be seeing the real picture or the real business. You might just be seeing a poor bookkeeping style. The second thing you really want to look at are the quality of earnings. A business can show profit and still have low quality earnings. You want to watch for things like one-time projects that don't repeat or temporary spikes from a major customer. Sometimes there'll be deferred maintenance and that makes profits look higher. Sometimes an owner underpays key roles, particularly they underpay themselves. So you want to know what that cost should be. And sometimes there are personal expenses that run through the business. So the question is, what portion of this profit is actually repeatable under the new ownership? And so that's how you would avoid paying a multiple on a phantom profit. Number 3, cash flow and working capital. A lot of buyers focus on profit and they ignore working capital, and then they feel cash poor right after the closing. So you really want to review the receivables aging and find out how quickly customers pay. You want to look at the payables aging and find out how fast you're expected to pay your vendors. You want to look at the inventory and find out if that's accurate and if it's usable or sellable. Sometimes there's a seasonality component, and so you have to ask, are there slow months that will strain your cash? Sometimes owners are using financing, and so that financing may or may not be available to you going forward. A profitable business can still choke on cash, so it's not just, is it profitable? You need to ask, is it profitable and liquid? Next, you want to look at the tax returns. This is kind of a reality check. So the simple rule is, if the financial statements don't reconcile to the tax returns, you really need to understand why. And sometimes it's something just like timing or depreciation, but sometimes it's sloppy bookkeeping or just there's something wrong with them. Tax returns are harder to dress up, so you really want to make sure that you take a look at these before signing anything. Next, look at the liabilities. What are you inheriting? We call certain things hidden liabilities, and those are things that you don't see on paper, but they could be there. So there could be some payroll tax exposure or some sales tax exposure or some deferred maintenance on your equipment. And so you want to know what you're getting into as far as liabilities before you sign. All right, so here's the mindset you really want to keep in mind to bring this all home. Verify your earnings, stress test the cash flow, identify the liabilities, confirm the tax story, evaluate the reporting systems, and then adjust your price and structure based on the reality of what you find. Due diligence isn't red tape, it's protection. It's how you separate fact from fiction and make sure the business you buy matches the business you think you're buying. So if you're considering an acquisition and you want to clarify on the numbers before you sign anything, well, those are the things that I can help a business owner do. So if this was helpful, please subscribe, like, and comment. Tell me about the business you have or the kind of business you'd like to buy. You can tell me about competitors, suppliers, or something totally different. I'd really like to hear from you, and see you in the next video.